we can hop onto the next song, right? This is where the song ends. And then the next song would start, right? We want that to be something that is snappy and accurate, right? And so once that's all done, once our range area is done, you know, make sure that we've got no plugins after our mastering plugin right here. I did actually go ahead and turn this down. It does actually drop the LUFS, but it actually puts it into spec. So if we just take a look at this real quick, you know, it actually makes the song a little bit more quiet, you know, by having this setting right here. You can go and check that out, minus 0.4, and it pops up as minus 0.3 for some reason, but
I had to kill her ego cause shorty thought she was special. Me and my niggas like diamonds, we never fold under pressure. Life is kinda like a game with snakes on every level. Look at a digital dash.
Perfectly fine. This is good for uploading because we're not going to actually get too much compression, right? You must remember that if I aim for -6 and -5, it's fun to get that loud, but remember the algorithm just turns it down, right? So you want to make sure that you are not going too crazy. I actually listen to Tidal without the normalization on. Remember, this is a default setting on most of these applications, Spotify, Tidal, etc. So, you know, music's going to be turned down. I like to listen to it as loud as it is, and I listen to some Meet Now and stuff like that just to make sure that it was as loud as everything else, and it is. So cool, that's fine. Once we've done our levels, let's actually do our exporting, right? So we remove this, and there is a little bit of a science to this, right? So first things first, we want to make sure that we get the file naming correct. Now, me personally, because I had this session as Master Like a Pro, because this is for the course, let's just pretend this was for the artist, right? Or this is actually going to someone, but I always take the date, so it's the 1st of February today. So I go 01/02/23. That way, you know, it's stamped and it has a date on it, right? From then on out, we get the artist name, and then I don't have a track name for this, so I'm just gonna go 555, okay? So now I've got a file name, I'm just gonna copy that. Now what I can actually do is, on the file name, I'm going to write 48 kilohertz because I work in 48 kilohertz, okay, because I do a lot of videos, so 48 kilohertz is a standard. If you're working in 44.1, you'll put 44.1 there, okay. Some people like to work in 88K, which is double of 44.1. Some people work at 96, yada yada yada, right? There's a lot more CPU and space requirements for these larger file sizes. I've personally found that I really like 48K, especially because a lot of the stuff I showcase to you guys and girls goes on video, so it sounds really good. It just works with the video editor. It's a default in the video editing sphere. It also works because I work in multimedia and stuff like that, and that's our standard. It sounds good enough for CD, right? 44 is already good enough for CD. But there we go, we do that. And now I want to make sure that I'm going to submit to my client, excuse me, a 24-bit file. Now, why am I not going to present a 32-bit file? Because 32-bit is technically a higher quality, right? 24, 32 similar. But the reason why I submit a 24-bit file is because the streaming encoder wants 24-bit. Okay, so I've been working in 32-bit float. Now I'm going to downgrade this to 24-bit 48K, and all streaming services are going to approve that file. Okay, they're not going to approve you know, some aren't going to do 96. I don't know if Tidal accepts 96, but you know, 48 is fine with me. I know it works, and I've never had any issues with anyone uploading. So these are my kind of standard file formats that I like to use, right? So now we go save. Now we got this window right here. So wave bit depth, we're now changing to 24. Make sure this is stereo. Okay, make sure we're not splitting mixer tracks. You can keep all of these settings the same as what I have. I personally like to work at 512. Don't know if that keeps the quality higher. Make sure that that's all enabled. Dithering is also going to be enabled. Okay, if we go to MP3. Now, you know, look, some people, I might as well do it for you, right? Because I tend to use I don't dither really, man, not that much. But we go 24-bit if you want to. Keep it on optimized, whatever, right? That way now, everyone is happy, right? I don't know, I just don't do it. You know, some people do. But it's all cool, right? So now we're ready. Now I've actually lost my file name, which sucks. So we need to do this again. Right, 48 kilohertz, 24-bit. And then I write master right there so that everyone knows that is receiving this file that it is the mastered file. Right, so there you go. Boom. I like to give people, make sure that's again 24. I like to give people we can disable this because we are going to be dithering here. So I like to give people an MP3 because remember, if the client or the artist or whoever you're sending your music to wants to listen to the track in the car real quick, and they may not have a great internet connection. Maybe they want to send it over to a friend real quick, maybe to the producer, whoever, right? Sending over a WAV file can tend to be quite heavy in file size, right? It might be 100 megabytes, sometimes 60 megabytes, right? I don't want to be a snob, right? I remember back in the day, I used to be like, well, you have to listen to the master file in 24-bit. Like the artist doesn't want to hear that. That was usually an excuse because the master was poor quality, right? You gotta listen to it in HD. That's why the top end is messed up because you're listening in MP3. Nah, it should sound good in MP3. Okay, so now that we're ready to go, everything's ready, we can just export, right? Good to go. Now we let that export, and what we'll do is I actually forgot to show you, but I actually have a plugin. I forget what it's called, but it can actually emulate MP3. So we'll actually take a listen to that, just so we can see that when we convert our track over to Tidal and Spotify and YouTube, etc., we do get that little bit of a bump in volume. So I'll actually show you that with the plugin I have. I think it's called the Layman code or something, but I think that's actually the algorithm for FL stuff. But anyway, we'll put it up just now. So as you can see right there, total time, everything is all good as well. 24 bars, 1 minute 22, and there's 34 megabytes, right? And I just have these settings on. But I guess these settings are bypassed when I, have it as a region. You know what I mean? So it should be good.